The new wonder of the world. What we need to talk about is art. Somehow, in all this incredible complexity of our universe, a set of lectures by a magnificent teacher will always beat the snot out of the best AI. That is why I say that our life and mind should be a masterpiece, that it is a work of art. The best lessons that teach us the most must be crafted by a great artist. A powerful, knowledgeable, wise, and inspirational teacher, someone that knows the weaknesses and loves to help. There's one itsy-bitsy little bit that is highly computerized here, and that is the path that students take through the lectures. See, not everyone is interested in all the things the lecture holds, so a set of lectures has to be flexible, and that means computerized. And this is great, because it means that the teacher gives the lecture once, and then it becomes infinitely replayable by an infinite number of students. But please note that this is the simplest lecture model. It is best used for teachers that are deeply connected to their lectures. Single teacher lectures are primarily for the purpose of honoring the teachers and their art of teaching. The standard lecture format is very similar to a Wikipedia category. There are many students continuously improving the various lectures in the set. And let me just say that they are all volunteers. Money-making or hoarding has no place in education. School and knowledge is meant to be free. Otherwise, it's probably just fraud. And it is more than volunteers and quality of the lectures. It is also the usefulness and the clarity of lectures. Today, when a student does not understand mathematics, they are encouraged and forced to pretend to understand it by memorization, by acting. The force is pretty formidable. They will be punished with grades that will destroy their GPA, and in some cases, sent to prison. The prison of repeating a year, which is pretty bad. The future generations will never forgive us for this. I don't even want to tell you what they will think of us. In a real school, when actually learning for real, getting snagged on something is no different than discovering something uniquely interesting about a subject. Not understanding something very well and wanting to understand something very much is the same thing. In today's schools, one leads to being told to pay attention or else, and the other to the barbaric act of actually being punished. I think the first subject that people have difficulty with is mathematics. Mathematics is actually taught very wrong. The lectures are so broken that they likely transformed into a memorization dog and pony show. And memorization is not education. It is just make-believe. It is just acting. There are teachers out there that can help students understand, but it is actually really bad for the classroom, because lovingly teaching all students to understand all the concepts will require far more time than what a class has before the final. There will not be enough time to cover all the concepts correctly. The class curriculum is not meant for real education, but mere memorization. The bureaucracy of the school does not care that you are educated. They only care that you pass all the tests and they retain the accreditation and that all the teachers get paid and the show goes on. What is there to be done in this situation? That part is really easy. I call it the Million Student March. But don't worry, you don't have to get up from your chair. What you do have to do is stop pretending. Your willingness to cram, to memorize, is actually helping this strange theater go on. You have to stop pretending that memorization is education and start learning for real, on your own. And this part is really, really, really important. There are some subjects that are so important that without their knowledge you will be immediately tricked. Stop memorizing for school and start learning for real, I'm telling you. Learn chemistry, microbiology, your biology, and how the human body operates. And either take up an interest in astrobiology or medicine or combinatorial genomics. Just follow your curiosity and try not to end up like Dr. Moreau. You need to know about the physics of the world you live in. And don't worry about the formulas, as that comes next, and it can't be easier. Here you should learn about circuits, electricity, and build your own models that, for example, recharge batteries with solar power. For the love of all things amazing, get some wires, batteries, a multimeter, and especially analog amp and volt gauges to see them come to life. You need to learn how to build a radio, preferably with the use of a potato. And you need to build a tiny transmitter. You are free to learn all the cool things now. You can learn anything. And there is a very special subject that, as everything else, has been horribly misrepresented. And this particular goodie grants you the ability to get inside any system of any complexity, no matter how high. This subject is so powerful that you can do experiments on space-time itself by actually simulating sustained acceleration for prolonged periods of time, such as the Project Orion describes, and even run tests on things like gravitational singularities. I am, of course, describing programming. Programming is how you learn mathematics for real. For one, the notation is consistent in the world of programming. As Math as Code states, mathematical symbols can mean different things depending on the author, context, and the field of study. Don't worry. School wasn't even teaching you real math anyway. You were just learning an easy-to-pretend-to-learn fragment, mostly for bureaucrats, and so that the teachers would keep getting paid. The real math is actually pretty cool and full of interesting mysteries. But you can't approach neural networks or combinatronics, for example, directly. The way school presents these subjects is basically toxic, insane, deadly, and crazy. It is deeply, heartless, and fundamentally misunderstood. The right way to approach neural networks is by looking at the simple letter detection or maybe color contrast examples over at brain.js and follow up with a couple of videos on the subject of neural networks. I think even more illustrative of the need for programming is combinatorics, and the way you would get at it is by cracking passwords in a cute little hacker game that you would program as part of your initial learning of programming. By the way, the complicated subjects in mathematics are so trivial in the programming world that no programmer dares to say a darn thing. Start learning programming by taking to JavaScript and then learning how to mess around with p5.js. Once you advance, even if it is just a little bit, you will be able to create lectures based on the path you took. Other people working on the same subject will be able to help you more if you collaborate with them on a beautiful interactive lecture. A lecture is a work of art. Different people may wish to take a unique path through it, but it really comes down to the presentation and the visualizations and their quality. Biology and microbiology is a very interesting subject to study and learn about from simulations on the computer. It is only one little step to get to medicine. And if you can do both, you can be pretty sure that computers are the future of education. Now a question, and this is a tough one. Can you learn mathematics without programming? No. No, you can't. There are some people that like that kind of thing. But for them, infinite complexity is something that they need. It is not just about learning math for them. They are choosing the hard way to meditate. Programming is the first thing you have to learn, as it wraps all other things. It makes everything simple and puts impossible things within your reach. Computers provide the much-needed infographics, visualizations, interactivity, control, and interaction. When it comes to the creation of lectures for the new class of real schools, computers are the only way. They can also provide humanity with a program that we can call School 1.0. Call it virtual reality school, call it school on a chip, call it a cool computer game. A computer program that will be able to run on low-powered devices, that will gently step through the much-needed real lectures towards the much-needed real education. The subject I'm looking forward to the most is not computers or programming, but philosophy. Philosophy has been destroyed by schools. It simply became irrelevant to our lives. But philosophy is actually the story of humanity's childhood. It is the greatest story that has hardly ever been told. And what is fantastic about teaching philosophy from a little computer device is that it is a dramatized audiobook. It is probably 1,000 hours long and recorded by countless students in all our languages. The philosophy lectures and this portable school device that your generation will begin work on will be hailed as one of the greatest achievements of humankind. It will be seen as the new wonder of our world. The way towards world peace and unity is always near, but it requires our collective courage. It requires that you stop memorizing and stand up for your generation and the future of this world. That you stand up for real education. Personal note, if I may. Walk up to the students being punished and let them know you memorized and don't understand it either. Help them understand that they are not stupid. It is just that the school is broken. You don't have to become their friend. Just save them from the toxicity of stress that can often destroy a mind by pushing them off course into self-medication with food, alcohol, or even worse. Make sure that the students in the back row know that there is nothing wrong with them. Most of the time they are scared of becoming homeless, which is exactly what the bully or the teacher will drive them into. Let them know that they don't have to be scared, and that it is actually kind of good that they are already upset at the dog and pony show. Because ultimately, all the A students will find that their work life ended up becoming toxic, and that what they really wanted or needed was to work for themselves, where they could take better care of their mental health. Just tell all the students being punished to begin practicing building their own company by building dozens of little ones to help them understand how it is done right. It is what everyone will want eventually. I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life and see if I could not learn what it had to teach, and not, when I came to die, discovered that I had not lived. I did not wish to live what was not life. Living is so dear. Nor did I wish to practice resignation, unless it was quite necessary. I wanted to live deep and suck out all the marrow of life, to live so sturdily and Spartan-like as to put to rout all that was not life, to cut a broad swath and shave close, to drive life into a corner and reduce it to its lowest terms. Henry Thoreau.